Going live, okay? Good morning, you guys. How are you? All right, I am waiting to make sure you guys can hear me, and I am going live today with Jade. You are going to adore her. All right, so this is my series of you meeting people from my team, and I am letting her in right now. Here she. Okay, let me find. There she is. Hey.
Hi.
No baby. No baby yet.
No baby yet. I just went on a walk, so I probably look a little extra puffy from all the humidity, but I'm trying her to come.
I almost texted you this morning just to make sure. Like, I almost said like no baby, and I forgot to ask you because I figured. I mean, like it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. This time next week, you're gonna have a little baby in your arms.
Let's hope.
I know. Okay, so let me introduce Jade really quickly, you guys. If you're just hopping on, I have been doing this series of interviews with coaches for my team because I know you see me all the time and you see me sharing my story and what God has done in my own life. But I love, like beyond a shadow of a doubt, the community and this gig, as we call it, this coaching job, has been something that's changed my life. And God has sent just the most beautiful women for me to link arms with, to become business partners with, and to make an impact in the world through faith and fitness. To make sure you guys can hear me, and I am going live today with Jade. You are going to adore her. All right, so this is my series of you meeting people from my team, and I am letting her in right now. Here she. Okay, let me find. There she is. Hey.
Hi.
No baby. No baby yet.
No baby yet. I just went on a walk, so I probably look a little extra puffy from all the humidity, but I'm trying her to come.
I almost texted you this morning just to make sure. Like, I almost said like no baby, and I forgot to ask you because I figured. I mean, like it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. This time next week, you're gonna have a little baby in your arms.
Let's hope.
I know. Okay, so let me introduce Jade really quickly, you guys. If you're just hopping on, I have been doing this series of interviews with coaches for my team because I know you see me all the time and you see me sharing my story and what God has done in my own life. But I love, like beyond a shadow of a doubt, the community and this gig, as we call it, this coaching job, has been something that's changed my life. And God has sent just the most beautiful women for me to link arms with, to become business partners with, and to make an impact in the world through faith and fitness. And I just felt like it was high time for you guys to meet some people from my team. So Jade is she actually just retired from teaching full time. She has been a full-time like middle school science teacher for ever since she graduated college. So how long has it been, Jade?
I've been teaching for 6 years. I just finished up my 6th year.
6 years, yeah. And she's very good at it. Like honestly, I know she wants to be home with her babies, and I'm glad that she can be. But she's an amazing teacher. And she has been a coach for how many years, Jade? I should know this.
I should know this.
Like 4 years, 3 or 4 years.
I think 5. I think it's 5. Going on.
Yeah. Okay. So, but this last June was her last semester of teaching, and she has Owen, who is a little over 2 years, right? He's not 3 yet.
3 in August. So
on August, okay. And then she is about to have little Waverly any day, like any day she could go. So, do what?
I said, like, it could happen right now.
Like right now. She may have to get off this call to go have a baby. Like it's that close. But I just wanted for you to share, Jade, like tell my followers like who, and you guys can ask me questions if you're watching this. You can ask Jade questions, and I'll pass them on to her if she can't see them. But tell my followers just who are you? Like tell them about Garrett and Owen and your passions and where you live and all that stuff.
Okay, well, we've already covered that I was a science teacher. I taught 6th, 7th, and 8th grade science, so I'm experienced in all those grades with science. And then got married in 2014, lived in Starkville, Mississippi, and then moved to Madison, Mississippi, where we are currently at. I have a 3-year-old, or he'll be 3 in August, son, Owen, and he's a live wire. Got to welcome our a little girl into the family. We named her Waverly. And first and foremost, I am a Christ follower, and that drives a lot of, or has helped me make my decision about coaching and about staying home this next year. And I don't know what else to say about it. That's a tough question when everybody asks you, like, tell me about yourself.
Tell me about yourself. Well, Jade lives not far from me. We're actually from the same hometown, and she lives about 4 hours away now. But I will never forget, like I always say this whenever I tell your story, like I'll never forget our first conversation and you saying, hey, Rachel, I think I want to coach, and this is why. And if you want to tell that story, like about why you started.
Yeah. Well, and in that moment, I think that my why is what pushed me to send you that message. But when I think of like, why did I start coaching? It's not just one specific thing. I think there's a lot of life, things that happened to me over the years that kind of led me to naturally make the decision. It started when I was in college. I had a really hard time with anxiety. I had severe panic attacks. And I tried to control that through starvation diets. And I would get so thrilled over watching the number on the scale, like get lower and lower and lower. And I felt like it was a competition within myself to see how low I could get it. And like mentally, I knew that wasn't right, but it was like I couldn't stop it. So there was a time where somebody, I think it was one of my roommates. I hadn't seen her in a while, and she came in, she hugged me, and she was grossed out by how bony I was when she hugged me. It was like, oh, you're so bony, and I don't know why that is what made a mental switch go off, but what she said made me like say, you know what, maybe I do have this wrong approach to it. Mm-hmm. And so from there, God's so funny. I'm driving down the road and I'm listening to Caleb, and there's literally, they start talking about how this Victoria's Secret model became, she became a Proverbs 31 wife. She left the modeling industry because she also was struggling with starvation diets and trying to fit into the status quo of what a Victoria's Secret model was. And God pricked her heart. She wrote a book about how she overcame it. And I was like, when I'm driving down the road listening to this story, I'm like, you know what? I should probably look into that devotional. It's a devotional in a book called I'm No Angel by Kylie Judy, I think is how you say her name. And it was one of those moments like you think about it and then it goes in one ear out the other. Well, the next day, I have to drive my husband to go take a test for one of his insurance classes. And while he's taking his test, I was going to go to Barnes and Noble and waste some time and figure out, something to read. And as soon as I walk in the front door, that book is stationed like in the front door. And I literally had just heard about it. So I was like, okay, God, I hear you. You put signs in front of you. So read that devotion. It completely changed my perspective on what it means to take care of my body and to honor God. And so I became like really obsessed with learning what it looks like to, fuel my body with the foods that God has provided. And it just my perspective. And so now I've become such a health guru. I love learning about how my body thrives with the foods that I feed it. and how I can use that to honor God. So
Yeah.
that was the first step, that I had to fall in love with me as a person, and with my food choices that honored God in return.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched my husband do so much for our family through his business, with insurance, and working hard because he was self-employed, and so our income came based off solely how hard he worked and drive and his passion for what he did. And it just really like set a, kind of, and not intimidated me, but it made me want to do something for him, because he would always like earn these trips to take us on, and he would always say, I'm doing this for you, I'm doing this for you, you're the reason why I love to work hard. And that meant a lot to me, but I didn't feel like I was doing much for him in return.
Yeah.
I love teaching, I love building those relationships with my students, and I will always cherish that. And I won't ever go back. But I knew that I wanted to love him back in the same way, because that's kind of love language. And so I was like, I'm going to do the same thing. And I watched you, Rachel, for literally a year. I even ignored your message about coaching. I was like, who is this girl? And so when people ignore me about when I share the opportunity, I don't get so offended, because it's like, you know what, Jade, you were that girl, and life just has to happen in order for that decision to naturally happen for coaching. But so then when I saw that I think you made a post about earning a trip for your family just by helping women learn to love their bodies through health and fitness, and with your faith-based approach to it, that's what like really clicked for me. And I was like, this is everything that I love. And so that post, I think you were on a cruise, and you made a post about it. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm sitting in a gym parking lot. I'm ready to send her the message. I'm ready to respond to her later.
I think I love that you said that, because we've talked about this lately about how coaching, it honestly meets a different need for different people. Like you wanted to get, I love Garrett. You guys, if you ever meet Garrett, her husband, he is a hoot, but he is very passionate about life. He's passionate about Jade. He's passionate about providing for his family. I love that. And but that at that time, like you said, just being able to provide something like that for your family, that was the need that coaching met for you guys. And now obviously it's meeting a totally different need, in letting you be home with those babies. And I think that's amazing. So now that you're home, well, tell us a little bit, like, how have you worked your business? Like, well, I started full time. I worked full time when I started as a coach. You did too. Like, what does that look like over the past few years with having a baby and teaching it during the daytime? Like, how have you fit coaching in until now?
It's definitely been messy. There's been no like cookie cutter approach to it, and which has made me doubt a lot of it process, because it's like, oh, well, I don't, it's easy to use the excuse, oh, I don't have time, or life's too crazy. But again, I just kept the vision of why I'm doing what I do. And for me, it was just fitting it in where open time slots and prioritizing it. So it did take me getting up at the crack of dawn to get in my me time, my workouts, my devotions, and I'm checking in with the challengers that I help support through this process too. And like, I had to get up enough to take care of like the major things, so I wasn't distracted with my son, or not being distracted at work either, because I wanted to be where my feet are. And if my feet are in the classroom, I wanted to serve my students well there, and I wanted to serve my family well when they're around me, and not be like in my phone. So I knew that prioritizing that time took some self-discipline to say, this is the time that I'm going to work my business. And a lot of times it was before everybody got up in the house. I'm a morning person. I know that's when I thrive best. And so that's when I decided to work my business. And then also when I would put my son to bed around 7:30, 8 o'clock is when I would work my little power, what we call our power hour. And I would try to get it done, shorter than an hour so that I could spend extra time with my husband. But about 8:45 to 10, it was solely like, okay, focused on spending some quality time with Garrett.
Sorry, I muted myself because I've got boys bouncing balls in here. But okay, I love that too. And now that's going to look, I mean, I think people have this common misconception that we stay home with our kids so we have more time. But now you are home, and so that will just look a little bit different as you build your business around teaching Owen certain things as he grows, and taking care of little Waverly. So I know that will shift for you a little bit. So last question: what is the vision for your? And I think that's such a flowery word, but when I say vision, like, what do you know that God wants you to do through the coaching opportunity, and what is your vision for your team, for women who are on your team, women who will join your team as business partners and coaches?
Honestly, the vision first is to help women understand that they're loved no matter what the scale says, no matter what the size that they wear, because I think it's a calling for me to help women understand that if you don't love yourself at your largest weight or your healthiest self, if you can't find the love in who God sees you, then you're not going to love yourself even when you're at your smallest or your healthiest. So I want to have first discover to love themselves like God loves them, and to see how valued they are, where they are in the exact moment that they're at. And that I try to pour that into my challengers by sharing a faith-based approach to being healthy and why we do it. It's not to learn to love ourselves, but because we love ourselves, the reason why we take care of ourselves. And so that is definitely my vision. And then to create a passion in them to help other women, or to help other women in the same way that, I've helped them, kind of like, a domino effect to it. And then I just want to help women to be able to see that, through this, that they are able to be bold in their faith, to be bold in their calling, and to help others, and to financially provide for their family. I know for me, for the longest, I felt so, I don't know what the word is, but I felt bad for being like, oh, I can accept, or I get money by doing this. I get paid for doing this. I financially can support or pay off bills because of helping women. And I had to learn to be okay with that. I'm an Enneagram 9, and I get really soft spoken and feel like, oh, it's not about, I don't want the spotlight on me. And so I've had to learn through that, though, that God will provide in multitude of ways, if it's financial aids too.
Yeah. And that's the pain. I think we've all struggled with that, but everybody gets paid for the work they do. I mean, everybody. We're no different. It's just, we just love what we do, like maybe 1,000 times more than some people. So I love that. I'm glad you shared that. Okay. So I am going to, this will go up on my IGTV page. And I'm going to ask people, like, will you just share with people, like, how they can pray for your business and for your family, like, as you venture into this new territory? I would love for people to be out there praying for you.
Yes. I mean, I could totally use the prayers of having baby number 2, because I know that's transition with our family unit as a whole, and it's going to be a challenge there. And just pray that I can still prioritize the time that I need to fill my bucket, so that I can fill my family's bucket well, and for that God will place people or women in my life that I can help. Can help me this opportunity, because it has changed my life.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'll be praying for you, and I know that some other people will be too. I love you so much,
Love
and
you
I
too.
can't wait to squeeze your neck and hug little Wave really soon.
Yes.
Thank you
Enjoy.
for thank you for hanging out with me. Okay.
Absolutely.
See you later. Bye.